All right, this is Randalicious, and welcome to the 72nd Hexis podcast. So, in this, we're going to be talking about some of the things that have happened in the Runescape community over the last 2 weeks. That being even more news on the unofficial clients, and we have some leftover questions from the last podcast as well, and then we have a bunch that you guys submitted. So, in the description on YouTube, there will be a link that will say, submit a topic for the next podcast here. That's where we take some of your guys' submitted topics. We also tweet them out as well. Follow us on Twitter at Hexis. So, kind of as we talked about on the last one, this podcast and all future podcasts are available on YouTube, Twitch, Spotify, Google, Apple, Podbean, and we have like a Hexis podcast site as well, which again, some will be tweeting out and is in the or in the description and shit. So we are still also currently running a artwork design competition. Submit a logo for us to use on a shirt for Hexis Podcast. Giving us permission to use it, and if we select your logo, we'll send you a free shirt. We'll probably run that for the next, I don't know, couple, maybe around, maybe at the end of the year, we'll do that. Couple other things that are going on is the podcast length. So, leave leave a comment on the video on YouTube, or tweet at us what the preferred podcast length that you would like for us to do. Would you prefer it to be like 1 to 1.5 hours, or like 1.5 to 2 hours, or like 2 to 2.5, or like 2.5 to 3, or just as long as we could possibly go for? I don't know. Just leave a comment. And if you guys leave a comment on the video, you'll qualify. I'll put you in a little giveaway for a bond. Also, with that, leave a comment on how many people you'd prefer to see on the podcast, 4, 5, or 6. We're just trying to get some more feedback, so leave us some comments on what you guys would like to see. Also, good news: the Hexis podcast is turning 5 years old this week, so it's pretty much, if it was a person, it'd be a kindergartner now. Crazy to think, crazy to think about, like really. So probably the most long-winded, long introduction that we have had for one podcast so far. But let's get it going. I'm Randalicious, and I'm the leader of Hexis.
My name is Dan Gleesac, and Randy did not record any of our voices, so I'm saying this again.
I'm Arptastic. I'm the founder of Totus, Sergeant in Hexis, and I've been 84 thieving for 3 years.
I'm Blackout, RSN LordBlackout. I'm a former / retired old school RuneScape player, 57 construction, and corporal in Hexis.
I'm Dumbfounded, otherwise known as Alex. I'm general in Solus.
All right. So I think one thing that I missed. So yes, I did mess up halfway through the first question. I realized that it was not picking up their voices. So I think something that I missed in that was talking about the something that RuneScape is doing right now, which is giving away 14 days of free membership if you have Amazon and Twitch Prime. So if you have that, link up your RuneScape account to your Twitch account, and you will be able to get 14 days of free membership. If you do that, that also means you have a Twitch Prime sub. So go ahead and use that on me, twitch.tv/Randalicious. God bless. So, all right. Moving on to the, sorry. Yeah. And the Hexis podcast is going to be turning 5 years old this week. And that is a good amount of time. Like the podcast is in kindergarten in human years. That's just great to see how old it's getting. 72 in next one should be a lot of fun. Smork. So
Bodhi will be on it.
Well, we'll see. If you guys want to see Bodhi on it, spam his Twitch chat. Be on Hex's podcast number 73. We'll
You're
try.
all gonna get banned if you do that.
We'll try reaching out to him as well. You know, I'll tell him he can have any day. Like we will. I will make any kind of time schedule happen if he wants to be on. But I almost feel like he owes the public to be on number 73. So, all right, let's get into the first topic that we have, and this was one that was submitted by a user, and it's a Discord server in which a couple of the mods, Mod Gambit and some PvPers, were talking together, and in that, and again, like there'll be a picture that's going to be on the document, which you guys can view. We tweeted out in the description, but pretty much the takeaway from this is that Mod Gambit, in his own way, kind of confirmed that PVM and PvP are the only sizable relevant communities. With that, I'm pretty sure that they have made it very clear and have announced it multiple times in the past that PVM is the biggest. Skilling is a little bit, but PvP is even less than that. But in their conversation, they talked about pulling things to specific communities and not allowing accounts that don't participate in that kind of play style to vote on it. So I don't know. What do you guys think about pulling things specific to communities and his belief that there's no sizable relevant skilling community?
They can. I would really like if they pulled specific communities, mostly for the PvP community, just because they don't get any updates. They get spite vote. Like spite voting is a huge problem in polling in general, and not to mention like everyone who plays this game. If you're voting for your interests. You're not. I'm not going to the poll booth. I'm not voting for some epic PvP item that's going to rag me when I'm doing prayer. If I'm some crybaby, I like PvP updates because I've recently started getting into PvP a bit, but like most people, they're going to vote for their best interest, and polling specific communities is going to fix that. And I don't know what the requirements would be for each specific community. I don't. You see, the one problem would be if we pulled like high level communities for PvP, PVM, skilling, everything. We get really elitist updates with that. That's the thing. Like we need to find like a really nice middle ground, or maybe they would have to figure out who in the high level community isn't going to be like that. But I feel like that's a lot to ask. And
I'm right here.
see, there might be some people who could provide the best interests of the game, but at the end of the day, people are going to vote for what they want. And in skilling, maybe he's right. Maybe there's not a big enough community to poll accurately. And I would just like to see, like, I actually think it would be a good idea to have specific communities be polled. But like I said, I think it's specifically for PvP. Like they're killing PvP. And if you talk to any PKer, they'll tell you the same thing. And it's just sad to see.
Well, I think democracy works until the people realize they can vote themselves more gold. I know this isn't exactly the topic at hand because it's mostly about the PvP community and how they're getting screwed over. It's sort of a predictable consequence, I'd say, because number one, the PvP community is notoriously, and I don't know if this is actually true, but it certainly seems to be the case that they're pretty toxic.
Notoriously,
if the
maybe.
Notoriously, maybe. All right. If the PvP community
Dibs on the
were
band name.
portrayed, if the PvP community were portrayed as like the most honorable players of this game, then I don't think they'd be in this situation. I think the rest of the community would be very nice. That's not to blame the PvP community. I just wanted to say that because I think it's kind of an interesting insight. The second thing is when Jagex, like their Wilderness Rejuvenation updates, whatever updates they do that quote-unquote force non-PvPers into a PvP environment, it's kind of a predictable consequence that there's going to be resentment garnered as a result of that, and here we are. As far as pulling specific communities, I think it is a good idea, but it could be it can go wrong in so many ways. I think that I think the council idea that was mentioned on the last podcast, I think if there were like these council of players that represent certain communities, and if they voted overwhelmingly in favor of something, then it would be treated as if it were passed in game. But if it's like a slight majority in that vote, then it'd be passed on to be voted in game. I think something like that would be the ideal way of helping communities like the PvP community get out of this update rut they're in. Gambit, when he says PVM and PvP are all there is, I think, of course, I was under the same impression Randy was, that it used to be in terms of community size and priority, PVM, then skilling, then PvP. But I'm not surprised that skilling has been neglected, at least in Gambit's view, because I believe there's like a correlation between the quality of updates the game's received and the experience the actual developers of the game have with these categories. So it makes sense that PVM has gotten the better updates over time. In my opinion, skilling has gotten the worst updates over time, which I think is obvious or I think is an obvious consequence of there not really being skillers on the developer team, at least those who have a vision for skilling. And I think PvP, I don't know too much about the updates other than it's just a lack of updates. I know the LMS update was good, I'm pretty sure, but I don't know anything beyond that.
I think the statement that PvP and PVM are the most relevant, I'm just going to say that I think it's just flat out incorrect in regards to that. Polling specific communities, I feel it is a good idea. I don't know to what extent, though, because I feel that everyone, I guess, should and can have an opinion on certain things. Like, if you're a skiller, like if you're a skiller, you can have thoughts on PVM or PvP. If I'm a white cis male, I can have ideas on other topics in life. It doesn't just depend on exactly what I identify as. I don't know. I guess I could relate that to my RuneScape identity as well. But I do agree, like, I guess the relevant top tier EHP clans in terms of having a say on skilling would be like percentage wise lower than, I guess, top tier relative PvP clans or PVM clans.
I mean, just think about the fact that Rot probably has more members than Omnia, Solus, and Hexis combined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Rot is obviously
massive. When it I would say, like, when it comes to skilling communities, like, there are hundreds of people across, all of the skilling communities, whereas there are, like, I will say that maybe the way that he worded it wasn't the best way, because, yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there's more players overall who are people that do skilling, but the communities for it just are not there. We have hundreds of people in the skilling community, but there's thousands PVM and PvP.
It's just less centralized with skilling, you could say.
Yeah, that's probably a real good way of putting it.
I also don't know how you would poll specific communities in the sense of it would have to be like a council style. I don't know, in game. Like, imagine they had a poll booth that said, like, this is a skilling update, and then, like, now my character Dan Gleesac is now labeled as skiller and can only vote on polls that have the skilling identity attached to it. Like, it just doesn't seem, you just get confined into like that specific identity and you can't vote on anything else that may be coming into the game.
You just have to dip your toes into the other communities, maybe.
Yeah, you have to make like PvP alts to vote.
Or just PvP on your main, dude.
Yeah, but you can only pick one identity. So then
you can have everything. You would have like someone.
This
like
is 2019. You can be whatever you want.
Like Scott Wilson has done a ton of PVM. He's top page overall. He's a done a lot of PKing.
He's a
dead
dead
mode.
man.
Like he could vote in everything. I think Scott Wilson's probably one of the more
Versatile.
aware people for the game, just because he's done everything. That's something I would like to be like that, but I don't know. I'm not. That's obviously that's something you just have to do. You can't just be that. So yeah, I see what you mean though about being labeled. It's not ideal. Maybe it would have to be outside of the game. Like maybe the poll booths would just be scrapped if this were the case, and they would actually poll specific clans. Like once the clan system is out, I'm sure they'll have better ways of recording like what clans actually do. Like if they looked at our clans, they would just see, oh yeah, these kids. Like they'd have to look into everyone and be like, yeah, these kids are just sitting there clicking all day.
I think the issue with trying to make specific questions fit specific communities is you're always going to upset someone. I mean, the whole point of trying to do it in the first place is because certain communities are feeling like they're undervalued or not being listened to or whatever. But when you start making it specific to certain communities, there are going to be certain people who aren't included and aren't allowed to vote on a specific question feeling like they've been left out. And the whole point of adding a polling system to begin with was to try and make everyone feel like they're the ones who are shaping the game. So it's someone was talking about it earlier, just trying to find a balance is going to be so difficult, and you're going to anger people either way, so it's depending on how many people you include or not include. So I don't know if it's a good idea, really. I can understand why people want that, because like Alex was saying, just some spite voting and PvP updates just simply aren't going to get through, because why would someone vote for an update that makes them easier to kill? But yeah, it's just really, it's difficult. I think the way that they've been doing things at the moment, talking to people in certain discords, is definitely a good start, so that they can at least see what the issues are that people have, because that's sort of something they've not focused on very much at all. And so that's a step in the right direction, and I think they need to try and refine that before they think about how they're actually going to get things into the game. I know they've done quote unquote integrity updates in the past. It's just difficult to say. Whether or not PVM and PvP are the only two main communities, I think that's quite a silly thing to say. Although I don't know if it didn't seem like it was an official statement, really. It was just something that was kind of said off the cusp. I mean, I think if you look at the kind of updates that come into the game, with PVM, for instance, there's like the Abyssal Sire is still receiving polling questions, whereas skilling updates are really, do you want this piece of content, yes or no? And then we don't really get any updates to it unless people complain for a long time. So I can kind of see from that point of view. I can see from that point of view why they might think that PVM and PvP are bigger. There aren't really that many things that we constantly ask for.
I think.
Can I reply to Arp, or do you want to go on, Randy?
About like to get in here. So,
all right.
I think that having the specific communities, I don't like the classifying a certain person as a like you are a skiller, you are a PK, or you are a PVMer, or stuff like that. I think that, as we talked about on the previous podcast with player councils, I think that would be the better way to go into, take 50 skillers. Well, and obviously, do a test trial with one, like a PvP council. Do that as a test of get like 50 guys or something like that. And then go from there. I think councils would be the better way to go to than all PK accounts can vote, all PVM accounts can vote, and so on. With that, yeah, so I know that they had said in the past that their in terms of like accounts is that the most popular play account is PVM, sizable gap, then be skillers, and then be PKers after that. I think that was on one of the data streams actually. Like, what kind of player do you identify as? So, I think that the skilling shouldn't be dismissed, as it kind of seems like it was in that statement. Maybe you just didn't have a good way of wording what he was trying to say. But I mean, yeah, like there are, across, all high level clans. There's, take the top few clans. There's hundreds of people in that. Take the top few PVM or the top few PvP clans, and there's thousands. So their clans are more and communities are just larger as a whole, even though they may not have as many people that would identify as being that kind of play style. Did you want to jump in, Blackout?
Oh yes, yeah. So I wanted to reply to a couple things Arp said. Um, this is not like I'm not trying to argue with you or anything. I just wanted to say a couple
Oh,
things.
we love debate.
Oh, okay, fantastic. That's what I'm here to do. So you said that the point of the pulse system to begin with and the idea of pulling specific communities is a result of people um having a need to have their voice felt like it's being heard. And I if that was the case originally, then like that's just a fact, but I kind of disagree because I think the point of the pulse system is to try to get what's best for the game to materialize. And I think if you were to pull specific communities, I think that would be better in terms of that end because the communities you're pulling have more experience and expertise in the things that um, would be voted on. Like even as a high level skiller, I think that high level skillers have generally a better understanding of what makes skilling enjoyable, even if they're not sure, even if they can't articulate it well. They have a better intrinsic, um, self-referential impression of what makes skilling work and what would make skilling not work. And so I think sampling, for lack of a better word, a more qualified, or I guess you could say more experienced player base for certain types of updates would be more ideal than not. As far as like polling, like the example you bring up about people like PVMers voting against stuff for PvPers because that would make PvPers more easily able to kill them. I think it would be better if what Jagex did was try to move stuff out of the wilderness or other PvP locations. I don't generally like the mixing of certain activities because RuneScape is like such a diverse game. It would be like if you had to win the Olympics, you have to place reasonably well in all of the categories, which is kind of well, if I enjoy one sport, then I want to go as far as I want to go in that one and not the other ones. And at like a low level, I think the mixing is good because it allows for more exposure. But I think at a high level, like for example, I think it's extremely dumb how you need to have like 87 rune crafting and then boost that in order to get access to an efficient Brimhaven agility course or arena. As someone who likes agility, I think that's incredibly dumb. I think that should at least, I think the Brimhaven buff from the elite Karamja diary should at least be relegated to the hard or medium diaries. Um, I think stuff like the Wilderness Altar and Black Chins, to use skilling as another example, shouldn't exist in the wilderness because if you as a skiller don't want to do the wilderness, but you're forced to either do that because it's efficient or stomach the opportunity cost, you're either going to um the quality of your gameplay is either going to suffer because one, you're accepting the opportunity cost, or two, you're putting yourself in the wilderness, which is um in a situation you don't want to be in just because of the community overlap and well not the community overlap, but just the nature of PvP overlapping with skilling. Like PvP is, and I guess toward PVM too, but especially skilling, it's very antithetical, I think, because skilling's a lot more about the consistency, efficiency, and PvP is like it's kind of like tripping in Smash Brothers Brawl. Forgive my reference to Smash Bros, but I'm a competitive Smash player now. So it's just, I think if Jagex really wants to do something tangible that's not just like community relations, I think it would be wise of them to segregate the unfavorable um minglings of community activities, especially with PvP.
Okay. All right, so I'm gonna move on to the next topic, one that was submitted by Enlin, and he says, "What player has been the most influential to you?"
Shout out to Anlin.
I guess I'm first. It would have to be Autumn Elegy, hands down.
God
When I
bless.
started playing, yes, when I started playing, I was like, oh yeah, this is awesome, old school RuneScape. Like I didn't even play 2007 RuneScape. I was like 2008, 2009. So there was no nostalgia value for the game for me. It was just I liked what the game was, and I liked how when I played like RS2 or whatever, how people would talk about like how challenging and difficult and whatever the real old school version of the game was. And so now, like, it was like a miracle that this game could be brought back. And I just loved it so much. But then I found out, or I discovered all of these like horribly balanced updates that were being put into the game and the community just cheering them on. And I was extremely disheartened. And I was like, am I the only one who really doesn't like what's happening with the game? And then I stumbled upon Autumn Elegy's stream, and then also Hexis, which is why I'm in Hexis. And so it was kind of heartbreaking for me because I was just starting my 200 mil agility grind, and he quit the game, and I was like, wow, that's a big downer.
Get you
But
right in
I
the
did commit to
feels.
myself. Yeah, but I did commit to myself that I would finish, even though my primary source of motivation for even continuing to play before I made that goal had just quit the game.
I'd say probably the most influential person for me has been Fire, and I take that from the whole, like he was the founder of Hexus, in February 2013, and I came around just a couple months after that, and the initial opportunity that he gave me a couple months later, like promoting me to general, and then we are like more than 6 years later, still at it. So I would say that you know probably because of that, and more so because of just the opportunity that he gave me um more than 6 years ago, has just like a ripple effect from that moment on, I'd say. But I would say the most influential people are, like people that, met and, like became friends with like in 2013, who kind of encouraged and pushed the whole progress your account, try to be efficient, that whole thing.
I have two answers. One's, I guess overall, this is going to sound very warm and heartfelt, like overall human being, including RuneScape as well. And it would have to be Randy's commitment to juggling like real life commitments as well as his dedication to like leading a clan and being professional in regards, just like an overall RuneScape player. Was
See,
very
that's why I
influential and
promoted him to
motivating.
Gen, by the way, guys.
Because he keeps your boots
Noted.
clean.
Yeah. Keep licking. All right, sorry, go ahead.
That was enough. That's all I wanted to say on that end. And then motivating would be DMP Games, Dave, Gamer2, Dragon, whatever, Man 545.
What are some other
Man
good names
42
that he
as of late.
has?
I have no. Yeah, I don't know.
He had some name that was just like dungeon with numbers. I really like that one. That one was a classic.
But yeah, Dave and I give each other a hard time basically like every single day. But it's all in fun and to motivate each other to push each other. And I will be passing him in total XP, and he will be sliding down the second page of irrelevancy. As he...
It feels good to be on top page. You know.
Did you you up there yet? Oh yeah, I see.
Yeah,
You got
yeah.
that in the last like 2 weeks or so, didn't you?
No, I got it a while ago. I've just been
Really?
coasting with the agility for a bit.
Oh, okay. You on
But
Prif?
no, already. I got too many hours in already. I'm just like multitasking already. I can just fucking turn my brain off, you know.
Yeah.
Well, there is something to be said about Dave, though. Genuinely, Dave is one of the only people that I felt was truly pumped for me for getting top page. Like, there's no one else like Dave that feels so strongly about top page. I feel like, and it's funny and it is motivating.
And he's irrelevant now.
He would passing him did feel pretty good though, but it's just because like I've been ahead of him in EHP for so long, but to pass someone who tunnels so hard on, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but someone who tunnels so hard on XP, if you're ahead of them in EHP, it almost doesn't matter. Like I wanted to be ahead of him in XP.
Yep.
But sorry, I'm just like going. This isn't even the topic. I'm just like. But I'm just saying that Dave is like, if you're going for top page, Dave is probably one of the most motivating people you could talk to, for one reason or another.
Lot of positivity.
There could be a few reasons there. But for me, for influential people to talk to, I mean, I've been in Solus for like 5 years now, and it's my boys, you know. It's the people that I've come up with. It's Sean Bay, Frozen Day, Ray, AJ, all these people that I've been playing with for years. They've been the drive behind my motivation for the most part, especially Ray. Ray has done everything for me, and I wouldn't even be in. I'd probably have joined Hexis if I didn't meet Ray. And
damn it,
who
Ray.
knows what would have happened there. And yeah, it's just, like Ray found me in some random shit social clan full of idiots, and
what clan was that? Give him a shout out.
Shout out to Mom Beats Me CC of World 314. You guys are morons.
Sounds like a shit clan.
Especially the fucking leader. Sorry, are we allowed to cuss on this?
Yeah.
Okay, so especially the leader of that clan. That guy is the least influential people for me for this game.
This is very off topic, sorry, but did all the guys you mentioned have their names rhyme? Was that like planned to be?
Sean Bay, Frozen Day, Ray, AJ, and then there's me. I don't rhyme.
Gotta change your name.
At all. Yeah. Yeah. No. It is funny though. They all do rhyme. I have thought about that before, but yeah.
Conspiracy.
It's the Solus Illuminati. You have to have an A at the end of your name if you want to.
The five horsemen.
Yeah.
Or 6. I don't know. I wasn't counting. That was a guess.
It doesn't matter too much. it is like, yeah. In any case, moving on to Arptastic.
So for me, there's been like quite a few influential people in my own clan, I would say, Totus.
Did I hear the cat again?
And that's mainly because, she wants to have a go off. That's mainly because some of the tasks that you have to do in sort of like a completion setting require just so much like dedication. If I had to narrow it down to one person, she's not as active now, but Princess, back when she was active, she would literally just choose one goal and stick to it until she finishes it. For example, Corporeal Beast, I think she just straight up did that for like 8 months until she got the pet. And I think that's that speaks most to my kind of play style as well. When I choose something, I like to try my best to stick to that until it's done. So seeing someone else do the same thing is kind of closest to being like most influential to me, I would say.
Very good. All right, so they put out another message about unofficial clients in between podcasts. It was on October 30th. A little bit more clear and in-depth statement about what they determined to be allowed and not allowed. And they put out a very comprehensive list of stuff for that. And they also, in the announcement, said that every single feature that is on RuneLight is a lot like RuneLight is compliant with all of their rules that they have. So if anything on RuneLight, you're good to use it. You're not going to get banned or in trouble or anything. So, what do you think about their clarity with their stance?
I think clarity is good. I saw a tweet on the Twitter where I think it showed menu swapping or whatever was still in RuneLight, but even if the statement said something that is not allowed, but the screenshot showed it's still in RuneLight. So if they say if they say RuneLight is compliant, then I guess it's compliant. But yeah, I think it's good. I don't like third-party clients. I hope what they're planning to do is just soften the the or like wean people off the addiction of third-party and make that good, because third-party clients being a thing to begin with is really dumb in my opinion, because even though they say use third-party clients at your own risk, and there's probably like, a very small probability that something is going to happen to your account data, it's just like, are you really going to risk are you going to risk your whole player base? Not the whole, but like a super big a portion of the player base, allowing them to give out their RSN details or RuneScape account details like that. I think something that's really interesting in this post, though, that's kind of unrelated, is that at the end they clarify that this isn't about unfairly punishing players by making the game more difficult, and this is a very different topic. So, would you prefer if I came back to this at the end, or do you want me to go into it now, Randy?
I'll save it for the end when we get a little bit of free talk.
All right. Yes. Then I conclude.
Can I say something about the addiction of third-party clients?
Yeah.
Sure.
So, like you said, they would want to wean people off it, right? The one thing that I found interesting to think about is that so prayer, left click prayer, they didn't remove that, right? But we could all, if you played before that was a thing, you could definitely agree that that's one of the more busted things. And there was a long period of time where you could not get that on the client. And then RuneLight had it. When RuneLight first came out, RuneLight had it, and then OS Buddy had it, and they made OS Buddy take it off. Do you remember when Jagex made OS Buddy stop with that?
Yeah.
And then, if you think about it now, that has been in the game for so long with RuneLight, for how long RuneLight has been out, that there are people today that are playing that think that that's a vanilla feature, and that's 100%
That's
true.
good point.
And there's there's other examples, not that I can think of one, of things that people would think are vanilla features that are on RuneLight, but they're not. Nobody uses the vanilla client. The vanilla client sucks. And that's a fact, and everyone can agree with that. Although I do wish that I was not so addicted to RuneLight. I don't think I could play as much without RuneLight.
Yeah, be a different game without it for sure.
Well, gonna be difficult to say this after that, but I use the default client.
Let's
Always
go.
use the default client, and I
Let's
have
go.
no intention to ever start using a third party. I would definitely agree that there is a dependence on third party clients. However, that said, I've never been against people using third party clients. I can completely understand the reasons why. I do understand that in comparison, Jagex's default client is missing a lot of the sort of basic things that should be on a client. So I don't really have anything against people using them. It's just the fact that it's not even the players that dictate what goes on a client. It's when the people who make those clients take it too far, and then because so many people use their clients, it's so difficult for Jagex to say, well, this is no longer allowed. So seeing them actually come out with a message like this, banning specific things, but also trying their best to be like a lot more broad to stop similar things from popping up in the future is really good, I think. In terms of actually just outright saying Runelight is compliant with what they're saying, I think they just need to be really careful with that, because there's like a thin line between saying, yeah, this thing is okay right now, and then just straight up endorsing something. So I think they just need to be careful when they walk that line.
Yeah, I'm very surprised that they gave the full endorsement and mentioned Runelight by name, because I know that when, if you guys remember, it was like I don't remember what the name of the client was, but it was like old school HD client.
Yeah.
And that client, like when people were on it, like it was detecting that people were botting. And the news post that they made about that, they never mentioned it by name. They just kind of, walked around what the name was and said like what feature the client had that made it. So something that they've been very careful of doing is mentioning specific clients by specific names. So I think
Yeah.
that it's very interesting that they, gave 2 thumbs up and then said Runelight's good. Like they got the full endorsement there. That is like, given a year and a half ago when they were demanding the entire Runelight client to be shut down to getting the endorsement, like what a change of events over time here. And again, like I'm very surprised that they mentioned it by name. Like think of how much like an inadvertent effect of this is, like there are, and we all know there are a lot of players who probably aren't even aware of what Runelight is, and now they looked it up, they downloaded it, and now they're playing it. It might be hard to think like, oh man, how do you not know what Runelight is? But obviously, there's going to be thousands of people out there that don't know what it is that are now going to be on it now. So I mean that they did some good advertising for it while endorsing it.
I bet they cut a deal.
Tinfoil hat.
Conspiracy.
I'm always wearing a tinfoil hat.
What do you think, Dan?
My turn. Yeah. What's your highest subscriber badge, Randy? Gold fan? Massive?
Number 1 fan?
Number 1 fan. All right. I'd have to say I am a number 1 fan of the fact that they just flat out said, we have added confirmation that Runelight have fully complied with the rules within this statement. Because right at the bottom, I believe it says like any features which acts to those described in the above list can also be considered unacceptable. And as we become aware of features, we reserve the right to add features to the list in future. I think they banned what's it called? The construction, right, where it's like left click build, which is like a 1 to 3.
Yeah.
And
I mean it's just menu entry swapper. It's the same as left click bones.
Right.
The only reason that's not still in Runelight is because it never was in Runelight. If that had actually been a Runelight feature and not like a steroid client feature, we would see that. Like, there's no way, because the second they get their view or their player base like sucked into something because of Runelight, they know that they're gonna lose membership from just like small things like that. Like nobody wants to right click Dragon Bones. I'm talking about casuals here.
Yeah.
But if that was the case for construction, we would still have it. I'm sure of it, because in my eyes, I think that the construction feature is actually probably less overpowered than prayer, and that makes sense to me. I'm sure you guys could agree with that. Like the APM for prayer is way higher.
Yeah, definitely.
In terms of left clicks, if that was all manual still, no menu entry swapper, it'd be much harder.
That's why like Sten's prayer day record from like 2013 or 2014 is like the most underrated record in RuneScape history.
Sten in general is probably so slept on now. Like there are kids who have no idea who Sten is, and there are probably people approaching top page EHP that don't even know who Sten is, which is funny.
Yeah. All right. So over the last 2 weeks, mobile, old school RuneScape mobile, celebrated their 1 year anniversary. And in doing so, they replaced the fountains in Varrock with some little celebration cake. With that, with mobile now have been out for more than a year or a year. You know, how long would you estimate that you've played mobile for over this last year? And what do you think about the cake that's in the middle?
I am first. So the cake, I have no thoughts on the cake. That's whatever.
Did
Doesn't
you
matter
did
to
you
me.
did you
But
eat a piece?
I did at Seanbei's 200 mil
Okay.
all card
Okay. Yeah.
because Seanbei got 200 mil all in Varrock Square. I haven't been to Varrock Square in a long time. Actually, I guess I go there for farm run every day. Never mind. I have been there. Yeah, no, I had some cake while celebrating with the boys, and I don't know. What is it? It's like some food that heals 6 or something, or does it scale with level? I'm
6,
not
yeah.
sure. Okay, so there's nothing really to be said about that. It's not a big deal. If you mean like what do I think about it being OP for like new players or something, then
Oh no, like visually, I guess.
visually it looks okay. I mean, it's good that it's going out. I don't like when they my favorite visual change for this game is whenever there's snow. I love
Like
snow.
like when they have like that massive
Like when it's
Christmas tree.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah. When Varrock Square is covered in snow, I like that. Or like Lumbridge, I think.
Well,
It's maybe it's
I
because
think
I'm
they gotta. I
Canadian.
think you got to be a little bit too
Sure.
careful with all of the like. There are some when they have the tree in there, it gets like way too snowy. Like you can't even see part of your screen. Like so much of your screen is taken up by snow with some
Yeah,
of
the
those
screen
effects.
effect is annoying.
Yeah, but maybe we could have that, just an option to turn off the actual screen effects. Like, do you think anyone goes to Smoke Devils and they're like, yeah, I want to do 200 mil Slayer with this smoke effect on my screen the whole time?
I think, and I really do think that Ginge did it without the smoke.
Deliberately.
Someone's going to make a plugin to de-smoke and de-snow RuneScape.
Yeah.
I mean, at least for the smoke, you can turn it off on the door. But
you can.
in terms of how much mobile I've played, I have 140 mil woodcutting from Redwoods, and that's from level 90. Like I've maxed my woodcutting from Redwoods, and
In the last year.
wow. No, I here. Let me. While I'm talking, I'm gonna quickly check what my woodcutting year is. But when I was working this year, I was doing Redwoods the whole time, like at work. So
Big respect.
that's just what it is. And yeah, so I've done 85 mil woodcutting this year on my phone, pretty much for the
Holy
most part.
shit.
Probably like
Wow.
And I'm not even one of the biggest mobile players. If you look at my friend Blue Bonnet, he plays at work pretty much every day, and
Big
he's
respect.
I think he's about to finish woodcutting. He has a lot less EHP than I do. I think. I mean, I'm not going to guess in case I get it wrong and make him sound like a noob. But he's going to finish Redwoods, and I think he's moving on to Mobile Slayer, like Melee Slayer for now. And I think he's done a shit ton of runesmithing too, and probably fishing. The one thing I do regret is doing fishing instead of mining, because I feel like mobile fishing. Because I did some, but it was like it was Chrome remote. It's not the same thing. Obviously, the functionality of mobile is way more chill for like woodcutting or fishing. But like I really loved when I was like out doing groceries and fishing on my phone with Chrome remote. I felt like I was a god, like this is things people weren't doing so much back then. And now like everyone should be. If you don't want to, that's one thing, and I get that. But if you can and you want to, like I don't see why you wouldn't take advantage of mobile. And I think mobile is awesome. I'm really happy about mobile in general, and it's going to help me a lot with closing out any goals I continue to have on the game.
What are you gonna do after
I'm
you finish
sure
woodcutting
everyone can-
then?
I've tried a few things. I'm kind of trying to slow down with woodcutting, just because there are situations with the stuff that I have left other than woodcutting where I wouldn't be able to do it. So like maybe in more chill scenarios, I want to try to do some runesmithing at Prif or maybe Motherload. These are both like decent things I can do on my phone, and it's why I'm selfishly praying for Runespan because
Yeah.
that'd be sick on the phone, and it would it would solve a lot of issues with potential money and stuff like that. I don't know about you. I don't know what your situation. I guess you have fishing left, so you're good. You're golden for
yeah.
0 time. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, I got a plan. I'm kind of mapped out to where I'll get 200 mil fishing about like 70 weeks from now or so, give or take a few on each side. Um,
All from mobile.
yeah, all from
Fuck, I
mobile.
love that.
Oh yeah.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I
Um,
hogged it.
I think no. I think the cake is great. I like these. I guess you could call them cute updates. I would rather they have spent the time and money developing 10 years worth of these kinds of updates instead of Zaya as a whole.
I love Zaya,
I have played exactly 0 hours, minutes, seconds on mobile since it came out.
Respect.
That is my answer.
I think the cake is fine. Yeah, more little updates like that are welcomed. But yeah, with mobile, probably played it for like just like the actual like old school RuneScape mobile app. I probably played, I'd guess, close to 1,000 hours in the last year. About like 20 hours a week almost, give or take. So quite a significant amount. Um, yeah, cake's good, mobile's better.
Do you carry a phone battery with you?
Yes, I do. I have a backup charger with me at all times. And it's let me give a good shout out to it. Let me look it up real quick. It's like this portable Anchor charger that it's a hybrid that goes into the wall, but also like you can take it out of the wall and it has the charge on it. It's really good. So it's the Anchor Power Core Fusion 5000. That just sounds powerful.
You need to put the
It
Hexis
does.
logo on it and sell it at the store.
I have 2 of those. Always stay strapped.
You have 2 of them, like in a holster on your belt.
Yeah.
Man, I need to look into that. I need one.
Dude, it's really fucking good.
I need it as well. I haven't had to, like, how phones, they get less powerful like when you've
Over
had them for a
time.
long time.
Yeah.
I don't think my phone would last the whole shift now, so I should definitely look into this.
What kind of phone do you have?
It's a iPhone 8, so I've had it for a while, and it usually lasts like 6 hours with mobile, just going the whole time, something like that. So yeah, I definitely need to look into a battery pack if I get back to a lot of mobile games.
So for me, the cake is, yeah, I agree with everyone. It's fine. They did actually, I don't know if everyone saw, but they gave an explanation as to why it had been turned to cake as well. Like lore-wise, they said the dark mages just outside Varrock did it. So at least they're making an effort to give a reason for it as well. The only sort of downside is if you right click it and there's like an option to get more info. I don't know if they fixed it now, but it used to just send you straight to the initial post about mobile rather than the new one explaining why the cake is there. So I think to some players it might be a bit confusing if they don't read the news updates. But yeah, other than that, it's fine. Mobile, I use mobile, used to use it a lot more when it came out, used to use it all the time at work, but then mobile phone usage became less accepted at my place of work, so unfortunately
You hate to see it.
I'm down to about 10 hours a week on mobile now. Like Alex, did a lot of redwoods on mobile, 200 mil wood cutting now, but not all of that was done on mobile, but a vast majority of it was. Also did some motherload mine. I think I've done other things on there, but I don't remember what. Oh yeah, soul rune crafting. How can I forget?
If you guys
And
have, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, like, so I know some people say battery's an issue. Not everyone realizes you can change the FPS in there. By default, I think it's either 60 or unlimited or something like that. So just change
you
it in the
serious?
settings to, yeah. So just
Oh,
change it to
there's no-
15.
Wait, hold on. Let me
There's
put,
no way you didn't know that.
dude.
I refuse to believe you didn't.
I did
know
not.
that.
Hold on. Let me pull this open.
Randy, you didn't know?
No. Okay, so I'm opening.
have-
I'm opening up the app right now.
Yeah, you go to settings.
It's low. Hold on, it's loading. Is it like
There's
settings
no fucking way.
on your RuneScape account?
No,
No,
like
in
the
game.
wrench. And
Okay.
then there's like a
So do
FPS cog.
I'm at the login screen. Do I log in?
You have to
Yeah,
log in,
yeah.
yeah.
All right. Let me log off
Because like
from the
most
computer.
of the things that you do on mobile, you're not going to need any more than 15. So I have 15 for everything: woodcutting, soul rune crafting, and I've not had an issue with that. If you're doing PVM, you probably need more than that. But if
Yeah.
you're just doing it for AFK, then 15 is fine, and that will just
Oh
save
my
your battery.
god! I'm logged in. I click the wrench and I see yes, there's max 30, 20, 15. Unbelievable!
Now you
And you're
can
on
leave one
what?
of those battery packs at home.
Oh my god! Yeah, you're right. I probably didn't need to stay strapped the last year with extra battery banks with me.
I'm mind blown.
I had no idea. I played it for 1,000 hours. Never once clicked that wrench.
And
Unbelievable.
what, it was 11,000 laps for you to figure out how to do the fastest lap too?
About that, yeah. Like you'd be surprised how ignorant I am about a lot of things.
The Hexis Priff boys.
Squad.
How many laps you up to, Dan?
26,230.
Ooh.
You're
Wow.
fast as fuck, eh?
Yeah,
With it.
that is up there. I have just completed 17,930. All right, moving on. This is something that was posted on Reddit, and it's a screenshot that shows the player base activity all time for old school. And as we talk about, mobile just having hit the 1 year anniversary. With that, the player base is now down to the same number of players that it was right before release of mobile. So, been a steady decline since release. But what do you think about that statistic there on the graph?
I think it's amusing. It's not surprising, but it is a tad strange how quickly it went back down, I would say. I think it's normal for that to happen. Like with any kind of mobile app, it's not going to stay incredibly popular forever. And if you
Flash
think
Clans.
about, well, okay, with a few exceptions, if you look at RuneScape as a game, old school as a game, how many sort of dedicated mobile users can you imagine actually sticking to the game and getting far through the game? The type of person that actively plays mobile games wants a short, quick game, and I imagine there's probably a lot of mobile users who've got to like level 30 in a few skills, maybe even like 20, and then they realize that the levels slow down and probably gave up. And I mean, that's, although I wouldn't say the decline's all because of mobile. I know there have been a few people getting like burnt from the main game, and I don't know how dramatically that would contribute to the stat, but either way, it's not that surprising. Stop pandering to mobile.
Well, mobile is, it's an accessory to the main game at the end of the day. I think that's what they truly were
Intended.
aiming for. I don't think they would really expect there to be a dedicated mobile base because of the reasons you said. It's not an ideal mobile game. But for the players that are dedicated and do play a lot, it is a great addition, the sidekick to the main game.
I mean, it's not like they've not tried though, with the updates to Lumbridge and things like that.
Of course, they're gonna try to catch anyone because it's a business at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I was going to agree with Art. Basically, he said everything. Like, it's not surprising to me that it would jump up and then slowly decline. Yeah, mobile users are quick. Like the only time I play a game on my phone, plane ride or like a long ass car ride, and I go
Toilet?
through like 5 or 6 different phone apps doing like word puzzles, and then I realize that my IQ's like average and I can't spell like half the words they ask me to, and then I just put it away. So, side note, I don't know how you guys like go to the grocery store and play mobile. When I would play Chrome Remote, I would like my in real life like obligations would decrease, and I would get like written up at work for being on my phone during work, and
Hey, by the way,
I
if
could
you,
juggle it.
for any of you viewers out there who play RuneScape while at work, leave a comment on this video, and I'll pick one random person who plays at work and give them a bond. Big respect
at
for
work,
the neglect.
Big gainers.
Yeah, some dedicated more than others.
Randy is out here arresting kids while gaining 60k fishing an hour.
All right, so let's move on to the. Oh, sorry. So
I did have one thing to say more about mobile.
Yeah, go ahead.
And the player count. There is a time in the year where the player count dips dramatically every year, and it's around now. Summer ends, people are busy getting into school. You know, there's midterms and stuff like that around this time, and just like exams in general, schoolwork, everything. It's not as dramatic as it has been, and obviously there has been a decrease in player base, but it probably looks a bit worse because of the time of year. Every year it's like this, and every year we have like a surge in player base over the summer as well, and winter especially, because when the weather gets shit, which it does for most of the player base, obviously you're going to stay inside more, you're going to game more. So there's something to be said about that too. Just the time of year.
Yeah, you can see looking at the graph. If you see like look at October for like every single month, or I'm sorry, every single October since 2013. It's dip, and
it's for every game too. It's not just this.
I would say looking at the graph though, I'm surprised at how there's. So obviously the initial influx of people would have been people that are like, oh my god, RuneScape on the phone, let me try this out. I'm surprised that there's not. I'm surprised that the numbers has gone down to where it was before mobile. Because I said because like mobile is an accessory. It's just an add-on to like playing the game, and obviously you're playing that, you're gonna be logged in, and it's adding to the player count. I'm surprised that they didn't at least. So pretty much, I guess the way you look at this is there is definitely far less players actually playing right now than there was a year ago, or I guess 13 months ago, because that's adding into the amount of mobile players that there are, and there's thousands of those. So I'm surprised. Obviously the initial jump up was expected, but I didn't, and it coming down also expected, but I never expected it to get back down to what it was pre-release, just because you would kind of assume that the player base would at least remain the same or continue to grow as it had been for several years, and then the mobile would add on to that number just as more active players that are online. All right, so I'm going to move on to some questions that we had that were left over from podcast number 71. So one of these questions, this one was submitted. There wasn't a name with it though, but so obviously right now there's a 1% tax on all stakes, and it was at one point pulled to be on the GE, and it failed. But what do you think about having that return as a question? And what would you think about having a 1% tax on all trades in the GE?
I mean, it's the 1% tax on stakes seems to be doing what they intended for it to do. I mean, it's taking out a really massive amount of GP. I'd like to see an updated stat on that, but from the most recent one they sent out, it was like literally billions upon billions that's been removed. And
do you know how many it was?
What was
like a ballpark estimate? 50,
no.
100?
I don't remember, but I remember it was for the time, considering how long it had been out when they gave that stat. It was very significant. It'd be good to see them. Maybe we should tweet at Lottie, see if she can get an updated figure for that. But in terms of whether it needs to come to the GE, I don't feel like it does need to. I mean, looking at the prices of certain items, I think things are quite healthy at the moment, and there's not really a need for more GP to come out of the game. I mean, if it ever became an issue in the future, I think it could, but I think we're a long way off from that being an issue.
Okay. I wouldn't really support. You know what? I'm kind of indifferent on this. I can see obviously the reasons why you'd want to do it. It being a gold sync, and I think maybe I have a little bit more a different view than when I was like doing Bible skills like through the GE. Obviously, then I was like, oh no, fuck no, that'll make my skills even more expensive than what they already are. But looking at it now, obviously there's no easy way for me to look at it, but um, I don't really think I'm opposed or against it. I wouldn't care either way.
Oh, I mean, selfishly, I'm just against it. There's nothing else for me to say on that. Like, I don't want to lose more money. This brings me back to the polling thing. People want what they want, and I would vote no on this. Like, and probably most people would. I don't know why you would vote yes on this. I can't think of why you would want to burn. Yeah, I'm just gonna sit by my fireplace and throw money in it. Like that's what this is. And maybe if it was there from the beginning, then I would have nothing against it. But for now, like I can't even. I use the GE too much, and this I've made money from the GE with flipping too, and like that would kill that. That would be gone. And this I don't know why people still stake. You're literally burning money. Even if you win over time, you're burning money. You're not making money staking. Maybe like if you stake once in a blue moon, you just do a big chuck and you win. Sure, that's one thing. But most people, like most of the actual traffic at the duel arena is frequent stakers, and you're just burning money, and it doesn't make sense to me. Obviously, there's a deep issue there, but that's another topic.
Something very psychological going on there.
I'm 14 build down at the arena, by the way.
I think I might be around a bill down, but that was the 200 mil prey chuck. I was like, all right, I have half of it banked. Let me get this 200 mil real quick. Up, I lost. All right, time to do 200 mil hunter.
Well, as someone who does not play the game currently, I can offer the perfect unbiased opinion. I think that a GE tax, if a gold sync is needed, I think is a great idea. The GE is, in the very least, kind of OP. I think when people say as a critique that, oh, in order to avoid the tax, people are just going to stop using the GE and just do the old way and just shout what they want to buy or use some other website. I don't think that'll be the case. I think people are too lazy to do that. I've heard people say that RuneScape is like a free market economy, and so a tax is kind of antithetical to that. But I think a gold sync is a gold sync by any other name, and I think if we want to get economic, we could argue that the RuneScape economy is much more a centrally planned economy because Jagex controls they essentially control the supply and demand of things in a indirect way, given like drop rates and how strong or useful something is.
Just quickly jumping back in, I looked up how much had been removed from the duel arena.
Yeah.
It was added to the game 16th of August 2018, and by the 23rd of August, so literally the next week, they'd removed 127 bill.
Oh, holy piss.
So
okay, how many weeks are we removed
now?
So at that same rate, what are we now about? Like 65 weeks or so, roughly, since that. So
It makes you wonder if that actually deterred anyone from staking. I
no.
imagine probably not. So it probably is a constant rate.
So 127 bill was taken out in the first week.
Yeah.
So using very terrible mental math, assuming that it's been about 65 weeks, which it might be ish. At that rate, you'd be looking at like 8.2 trill that's been removed from the game with staking on the
Quite a
tax. Yeah.
God damn! That is so much.
Yeah.
It's a lot of RC.
Yeah. Might be able to
J-Mod's
afford
just
200.
doing RC at the job.
Yeah.
That's how Kieran got 99. If for those of you who don't know.
Congrats to him.
If this was polled, I don't see it passing at all. So it'd have to be something
Less
that
than-
they
I'm
just.
pretty sure it already failed.
And it would have to be
Yeah,
one of those
so-
integrity things where they just
Yeah.
It would
implemented
never
them.
pass.
There's no fucking way. Like I said, nobody's gonna burn their money.
And then if it does get put in the game, I honestly believe that like Zybez and stuff could make like a comeback to some extent. Obviously, it might not be like the main way of trading, but it would definitely grow in popularity. and
If
people
you're
would
buying shit in bulk, you're not using the GE if there's tax. You're
Yeah.
definitely not gonna want to do that to yourself.
Yeah.
even like if you're going for a big, like if you're trying to buy a T-bow, you just quickly go to Zybez and buy one rather than getting taxed. I don't know what it would be. The math, 10 mil.
Tax evasion, new bannable rule.
All right. So the poll results for all polls now are hidden while the polls are currently active. What do you think about that? Do you like that the results are hidden while the polls are up, or did you prefer it before where you'd be able to see the results as it was actively going on?
I rarely vote to begin with, unless it's one of the bigger, like publicized updates.
But
But yes, but I do think that it is better to have things hidden rather than shown, just so that it doesn't influence or sway how someone who might be like on the fence votes.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. I know that people will see the results and feel that either their vote won't matter and they won't bother voting at all, or they'll feel like, oh well, so many people voted like this, and I'll vote like that as well. It's unfortunate, but it is a thing, and I'm glad that they changed it. It does still like surprise me sometimes. I open up the poll booth in the rare occasion that I actually do cast my votes, and then I'm like, where are the results? Oh yeah, they hid them. So I'm glad they did that.
I think it's fantastic that they're hidden. The almighty skip vote is finally getting its share of glory. I am a big advocate of the skip vote. If I were a member, I would vote in every poll, but I'm not. But I have looked at the voting histories of things, of like major things that my friends who do play RuneScape bring up, and I see that skip vote finally getting its due diligence.
It's poll results should be hidden. Like when you okay, I wake up, the poll has been running for X amount of hours. I go to the poll booth and shit has like a 90% yes vote that I don't want. What the fuck am I supposed to do? I can't vote no. It doesn't make a difference. Like I don't want to know what the poll results are before I get my say. And I didn't vote that often before. I vote more often now.
yeah, and I would say the big issue with that is when you opened up the poll booth, the first it didn't. So obviously you have the page with the results and then the page to vote on. The first fucking page would be the one that shows the results. So
Yeah.
so it was like so fatally flawed, and I think it's fantastic that they changed it to be the way that it is now. Um, makes you wonder like how would have things so if they would have done that initially when the game came out, or even 5 years ago, be awesome to see, in an alternate universe where if that was put in years ago, what kind of impact that would have on certain things that have been pulled and passed or failed in that time since. But very happy that the results are now hidden.
Another thing to be said is that with the poll results hidden, we get some hype built up before the poll results are, put out. So for warding,
Mhm.
that was epic.
That
like
dude, that was
I remember
that
the
was a
countdown for
scary
that.
last few hours. Like
the Reddit kids fucking crying after. Oh my god, they like there was so many neckbeard memes being thrown around. Like, fuck you, kids. You didn't get your shit fucking skill, so fuck you. That's all I have to say. And the hype built up for it was awesome. I genuinely thought it was gonna pass.
So did
And
I. I was
Same,
terrified.
I
Yeah.
might, just because I think if you look at certain communities, you'll see obviously like Reddit, their voice seems stronger because obviously their community is way bigger than like the high level community of RuneScape Twitter. Like it's just a fact. Not the high level community is already small as it is, and just the fact that not everyone is present in the social media, it makes sense that you would think that the overwhelming result would be yes on the warding vote. Just because if you looked at Reddit, you would see so many people that were into it, and I don't know why, but that's just the way it was. And yeah, it was great. And having the poll results hidden creates more hype around the update. It gets people more excited for what's going to happen in like big polling scenarios like this. So it's good. It's a great thing to have the poll results hidden for many reasons.
Yeah, God bless them for finally doing it. So next, oh shit, I have not been updating the topic on screen, so my apologies for you guys who've been following along that way. I mean, obviously it is.
Well, you'll just edit it on your end, no?
That's a lot of like that. Put the topic back on screen for that. Yeah,
Come on, don't be lazy.
dude.
Make Arp do it.
Yeah,
Me?
Arp loves helping. Let Arp do it.
You want to volunteer? Not here.
You are the leader. You can voluntold him.
Yeah.
Voluntold.
Voluntel, I guess. rather.
Looks like I missed it on like 2-1, so not a big deal. I mean, most of you guys are just listening to this anymore. You're not watching the screen as the topic changes. But all right, so going forward, what skill or skills do you guys think are least and most likely to see a significant XP?
I can't see fletching being any faster unless they release a new dart somehow. And I think most likely to get boosted is probably going to be rune crafting, just because of the amount of people who still complain about that despite
When you say
soul runes being a thing.
When you say rune crafting, are you referring to like solo rune crafting?
Yeah. I mean,
obviously.
rune crafting for like the average person, not like running.
For the 99s percenters?
Mm-hmm. Rune span.
The thing that I see happening most for RC, and this is basically what we just said, is that it'll be conveniently updated, because if you think about the highest XP rate for the average player, it's going to be like 70k ish with lavas, right? So the simple fact that we can get over 200k with runners makes me think that they think they can get away with adding something that is, at least close to lava's in XP rate, if not higher, which would be, I would not like to see that. That is something I don't want to see. And we're already getting that swamp, or I guess we have to pull it, but the new essence.
Yeah, but you have
Or
to
nine-
you got to spend a lot of time acquiring that though, so I think that kind of
Yeah, but
balances it out.
depending on how easy it is, if kids can do this while they're playing other games, and then when they want to play RS, they go to ZMI. That's probably what most casual players train their rune crafting with until they get to souls and stuff. Like, if this gives a huge boost and it's something that's super no effort to get, then we already have big devaluement on RC. And I am kind of looking forward to seeing how AFK it is and how easy it is, if I can get away with it.
Possible phone method.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't want devaluement. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not. You'd be a fool not to take advantage of it. Like, morals on floor if you're actually here for the competition, and a lot of people listening are. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. And yeah, I agree with Arp. Like, fletching, there's no way fletching gets faster. Because like the meta for fletching is mithril darts already, or addy darts if you have a lot of capital, obviously. But like, you can get 6 mil an hour with mithril darts, depending on how quick you are with your mouse. Not that you'd be using an illegal program to do it for you, but you would.
Yes, some people use their hands and put craters in their laptops. From manually doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I hope we're all manual gamers here, because anything else is against the rules. I guess you can use mouse keys. Mouse keys are fine. So yeah, like, just Bibles in general, though. Like, I don't see crafting being faster, and obviously that you can get like higher XP rates with newer crafting stuff, but it won't be meta. Like, probably not. Black D-eyed bodies is already like they're shat into the game, the D-hides, and it's expensive, but it's not like it's too expensive. Like, you wouldn't do a 700k an hour crafting method for 30 GP XP, because you can already get 450k with black D-eyed bodies, which is like usually less than 10. And I guess that is it depends on what you're talking about for actual devaluement of skills. Or yeah.
So I'm not gonna take the easy answer, but a skill that I don't think is gonna get any faster is woodcutting. So with the 1.5 tick peaks, that with how that method is, and just with like all the trees that are in, like, they would have to come out with a completely different tree, and it's like, and it's just not gonna happen. So I think woodcutting is forever capped out at like the 210 215k XP per hour that you get from doing the 1.5 tick woodcutting. That's not gonna get touched. Skill that I think is probably most likely to see a significant XP boost. I'll go with agility. It's the slowest skill in the game, and I know that they're already coming out with like this pyramid plunder version of agility, and they explained that it will not be better XP per hour than methods that are currently in the game. And kind of like what they've been doing with a lot of things is releasing them, and then after release have a poll like, hey, do you want to increase XP per hour on that? Like, that's what they did with the Prif course. They buffed it up like another 5 or 6k XP per hour after people were like, okay, we want more XP. So I think that will have a good chance of getting higher.
A little off topic, but do you think that we should change the EHP rate to Prif for our, agility?
I think that'd probably
do you
be
think that makes sense? Because
rather than
people obviously they do. Nobody does, unless you're purely doing agility, and there's nobody like that anymore. You're not going to be doing werewolf anymore. You're not going to be doing werewolf or brim, right?
Yeah, and I mean,
in terms of 200 mil all competition, you want a rooftop course.
Yeah, and given how much money you're spending on rune crafting, it's the debate that people have been having for a very long period of time. Like, okay, you're gonna have to sacrifice some amount of maximum possible XP per hour in a certain skill somewhere along the way to be able to afford do 200 mil all. And realistically, you're gonna do that with agility. I always thought that EML and the EHP rate should be a more accurate representation of the player base rather than what is what is theoretically possible, what is theoretically and mathematically possible. Not a single motherfucker is doing werewolf to 200 mil while then also affording the 20 bill plus that they need for rune crafting. Maybe someone will event. I'll wait.
Isn't it sort of best at the moment to be doing swimming until 200 mil thieving and then priff till 200 mil agility, and then that gives you the crystals to do 2-tick fishing to 200 mil?
Between that and farming, I don't know if that you can afford it. I don't know. I'm not saying you can't, but
I don't know how
I
much
hate
utility-
2-tick fishing. Fuck 2-tick fishing.
By the way, 2-tick fishing is back on the board since that swapper thing is still in Runelight.
Massive.
Yeah.
See, there's another thing that is like way more broken than left-click construction, and they removed construction.
Absolutely.
Fuck you, Jagex. You guys have no idea what you're talking about. For real.
The fact that I can 2-tick fish at work for like 130K an hour, I think that plugin is
Fuck me,
slightly
man.
broken.
What was I doing? Why did I do fishing?
Yeah, it's my turn, right? Yeah. First and foremost, Priff Gang, Rich Gang. I agree, Priff Gang should be EHP, in my opinion. I think along the lines of Randy as well, I was leaning towards Agility and Slayer probably seeing the most significant XP rate boost, just because I feel like PVM is always being put into the game and new items and spells and whatnot like are always a possibility. So I think Slayer will always be getting significant XP boosts. In terms of solo methods, I don't know, like the average person must just do redwoods, I guess. I don't know about 2-ticking or 1.5 ticking. What's it called? Like fishing, mine, any of the gatherers. So I'm gonna stay away from those probably. Least likely to see one. Yeah, fletching, construction, prayer, the ones that are already like a mil plus an hour.
Prayer got a little bit faster recently when they had that new bones that came out.
That's not that recent. Vorkath is old as fuck.
Well,
yeah, now that it's 1.6, I don't see it moving at all.
1.6. You talk about
Isn't
mil an hour?
Isn't that EHP?
It's definitely high. Yeah, it's definitely higher though. If you.
Oh yeah, I've been getting 1.9, but I'm just saying EHP is 1.6.
Are you doing prayer right now?
No, not right this second, but I have done some prayer.
Yeah, I want to get into prayer pretty soon. To be honest, I was thinking of Con, but they binned that for me. Thanks, Jagex. Good guys.
Miss your opportunity.
Yeah, I didn't want to use a steroid client. That's cheating.
That's disgusting.
I wouldn't go to France.
I would say most and least likely is warding. At least I hope it is, because I don't want them to add warding to the game. As far as making Priff EHP, I totally agree. I want to hold on to my corporal rank in Hexis and gain ranks while not playing. It's more efficient not to play, as they say.
How many ranks have you gained with EHP jumping all around?
I was at 500, and then they made the change, and I was jumped less than 100, but like I've always been in the 400s for the whole year I've not logged in, well, not played.
Oh yeah, 490 right now. All right, so if you were to ever achieve 200 mil all, what would you do after?
Letting the big man himself go first, huh?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I mean, for me, I don't know whether or not I am going to finish. I think I will, just because I'm so close now, and
you're like 100 hours ahead of me or so.
Yeah, we're pretty much at the same point, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, our skill makeup is a bit different, but when you get this far, it's like even if you do want to stop playing, you have this pull, and there are times where I'm more burnt. Like right now, I'm a little bit more burnt than usual. I'm not as motivated to play a ton, but I'm still I'm playing my Iron Man a lot, and that brings me to my point of what I would do after. This game has been a part of my life in some capacity for as long as I can remember, right? Like, probably been playing for like 16, 17 years. Like, is it probably 16, closer to 16? And I think that this game will be in my life for some capacity for forever. If I finish 200 mil all, I'm not gonna just you'd see it. You see it in, other than Lynx, I guess. Lynx is the only person that's finished and stopped playing, and you can see it in like RS3 players who have completed 200 mil all, and they're now playing this game. And maybe it's addiction. We're all addicted in some capacity, right? But we want to play this game, and we wouldn't be playing so much if we didn't like it. So when I finish 200 mil all, I'm still gonna play. There's a lot of things in this game that I don't experience as much that maybe I would like to, and yeah, I don't see myself just stopping playing. Maybe some priorities might get shifted around. That's about it, and it's not that significant.
Do you think you'll still play as much?
I always play however much I want to, so it depends on how I feel after finishing, I guess.
Well, it was very wholesome. I do not have the same outlook. I have, and let me be very clear, I have really loved the journey so far, over the last like 6 plus years. And, I know that I've got around 2.5-ish years left, and I have enjoyed it. I know that I will enjoy the next 2.5 years, but I am as excited for post 200 mil life as I am for like finishing it off. So I've got a fat, and I mean fat, spreadsheet of games that I'd like to play once I finish 200 mil all on RuneScape, and I got 6 alts right now. And once not gonna log on to a single one after that's all. Actually, that's not including 2 other the one defense account that I made in like 2015 and got maxed like PK stats on it, which suppose I probably will never end up taking advantage of them. I may, but RuneScape will be played very like I don't really see myself playing much at all. Because for me, there's so many other great games out there that I've neglected to play or take advantage of over the last 6 years. And I mean, I do play a couple of games on the side a little bit right now, but talking like fully immersed into a different game and hop around like that.
With that kind of outlook, Randy, what's keeping you going?
I enjoy playing the game. I enjoy getting the XP. But soon there's not going to be any more XP to get. If I were to be playing RuneScape after 200 mil all, I think I mentioned before, like I would do some kind of like crappy, and please cover your ears.
Oh no.
I would do some crappy completionist stuff. If I were to play, I know that there, some people get 200 mil all, and if they want to, and then they just stop playing and never post about it or anything. Some people get 200 mil all, and then they start doing PVM. That's fun. Some do Iron Man. There's a bunch of different things that people can do after, but I would just AFK a completionist thing if I felt like it. But I think it'll be in the rear view mirror forever.
Could I say one more thing before the next person jumps in?
Go ahead.
I don't understand that. Like, people who not you haven't been as extreme as some other people, but people who are saying, "Oh, I fucking hate this game. I can't wait to be done." Like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you playing? There are people that say that, and
Yeah.
that's not even an exaggeration.
Yeah,
Like,
you're right.
It doesn't make sense to me at all.
Yeah, so like for me, I really enjoy playing the game, but I have a very strong belief that I would not enjoy playing it differently than chase trying to get XP. That's what I've enjoyed doing for the last 6 years. I don't think that I would enjoy this game doing it, or like not doing that or having that as my goal. And I don't have any interest in maxing an account or an Iron Man. I don't like PVM, and I would probably get very upset very quickly doing PvP. So
It's frustrating. Tough learning curve.
yeah,
You gotta get shit on for days before you can learn how to.
Yo, let's go.
yeah, I'd just be hoping that maybe I could just smack a good Gmaul spec in there one time and kind of ride that high. But I play other games. I think I got a couple games. Let me just real quick. I'll pull it up games spreadsheet, which so a couple games that would be like at the top of my list to start playing after I finish doing Mill RuneScape. So Red Dead Redemption 2. So all this be on PC. Red Dead Redemption 2, which just came out on PC, by the way. Heard it's kind of buggy.
I'm sure it'll be fixed by the time you're done.
Yeah, everything that's on. I mean, this list is probably going to get way too big over the next 2 years, still even. But a lot of the Call of Duty zombie games. I play Black Ops 3 zombies a little bit every now and then. A couple 100 hours on it, but get some Call of Duty in, but not the like multiplayer Call of Duty. Just let me relax and kill some zombies. And then Monster Hunter World, a couple of games like moving into single player games and having fun watching in the distance.
How do you see your role in Hexis being after you finish 200 mil, or then, seeing as you'd like to take a step away from the game?
Stepping down entirely.
Oh, wow.
How's it going? I'm over here.
Even
That's
from the
actually a good
podcast?
thing to talk about. Like how can you do? I don't know. I'm dreading the day where I have to step down. It's not going to be happy. Like for you, it's even worse. Like you've been
Yeah.
leader of
like
Texas for so long. You're putting down your baby.
it'll definitely be bittersweet when the time does come. Like both, and I imagine for like anyone like just getting 200 mil all, that will be bittersweet for any player that gets it. I mean, there's gonna be like another 20 of us that get it over the next 2 years or so, give or take, roughly. And I'm sure that every single person that gets that is gonna feel something different. But one thing I think will be pretty common is that there'll be a little bit of a bittersweet feeling. Happy that you've completed it, but at the same time, like it's over. Yeah, it'll probably be pretty emotional day when it does come a couple years from now. But going to
For sure.
thoroughly enjoy myself on the way. And I mean, I do gotta stop playing it. Like I know you said you'd been playing for like 16 years, and
I mean that includes a lot of time where I'm not actually actively playing it, but
yeah,
like
but
it's been in my life for so long.
yeah, like I mean, I know I got gotta put down the sticks at some point, and maybe I can become AJ and still play after having a kid one day. But kind of the like plan. Okay, get 200 mil all in the next 2 to 3 years, and then at that point, starting to get in the later 20s, and like I'm getting a house and getting married in the next like 6 months. So then you know kids are gonna come at some point, and like me personally, I don't want to still feel like I gotta be playing RuneScape, um, get 200 mil all or any of that. So, it will have been a extremely enjoyable like 9 to 10 year time, but I know that eventually, gonna be done. I guess like a really dark way of looking at it would be like, you get a pet or something, and like
I know where this is going.
you're gonna love your pet while you have it, but you're gonna outlive that pet, and the pet's gonna be gone one day, and you're just gonna have the memories of it, and knowing that you enjoyed when you had your pet for that time. So I guess that's kind of one way that I kind of look at RuneScape currently is,
As your pet.
well, I mean, I know that it has like a set lifetime on it, and I know that like think of RuneScape, put it in like dog years, like motherfucker, like my RuneScape account is like in its like late 70s, early 80s, in terms of like age. Gonna kick the can soon.
I'd like to change my influential answer earlier about dedication to the clan.
For me, it's like it feels a lot different because I'm not a main account like you guys. So 200 mil all for me means something slightly different. And of the skills that I can do, where I'm essentially a skiller, I can technically get 99 Slayer, but it's very difficult to do, and most people wouldn't consider 99 Slayer as part of maxing a skiller. So I think if I was to get 200 mil all in all the skills that I've allowed myself to train, I would probably look into doing other things like investigating, doing Slayer, possibly questing, seeing what kind of completion things I can even do on this account where I've not really looked into that before. It would just be, I wouldn't break the build, so I would stay as essentially a skiller, but I would just look to see what else I could possibly do, and probably focus more on my other accounts too, because I do have a maxed account that is going for completion on the side as well.
Realistically, if I were to play again, that would either mean there would be quite a few updates, which would upset like 90% of the player base, or I would be assured that if I streamed my progress to 200 mil, that I could like financially support myself for the years during that. But afterward, I would probably either do PvP. I don't really mind the skill curve. I think PvP looks super exciting. Um, or I would just drop the game and focus on Smash.
Yeah, so kind of go on your answer a little bit. So, um, talking about PvP and PvM, like the way kind of I see it is, if you want to do PvM, there are so many other games that are just like better PvM games. And when it comes to PvP, if you want to do any kind of, player versus player multiplayer activity, there's so many other games that are better at that. I think that RuneScape provides something for me that other games don't, in that, like the skilling grind and enjoying that, and the dynamic evolution of it over the last few years that other games don't provide. But other games do have PvM stuff, other games do have PvP stuff, and I would make a strong argument that other games do it better.
Yeah, but it's not RuneScape. That's the thing. Like in my hypothetical, if I were to build an audience, it would be like an audience of RuneScape players. So if I wanted to maintain that audience, I'd probably stay on RuneScape. But it's just like I'm familiar with RuneScape. I've played, I first played when I was like probably in elementary school, and then off and on until up until now, like a year ago, I quit. But like that's why I wouldn't commit to doing PvP or PvM or anything. I would just say it'd be on the table. Like I think Smash is great. I play melee, so it's like it's a lot more like PvP because there is a skill curve, much more so than like the newer Smash games. So maybe it's just something I would explore.
My answer is probably the quickest one. if I ever do get 200 mil all, which would probably be in more than a couple years, as my like real life obligations are just start to increase more and more. Hopefully, I'll just end up logging in very, very rarely to probably like PVM. 3 Infernal Capes, by the way, big PVMer. So yeah, I might log in periodically just to like fuck around on the game or like chat with some people, but I won't be playing it nearly as much as I do now, if at all.
Yeah. All right. So, submitted question that we had was, what kind of mouse and keyboard do you guys use, and would you recommend it to someone who is looking for a new set of peripherals?
I'm somewhat passionate about my mouse, but my keyboard, I could not give a fuck. I'll be honest. Like I have a Corsair keyboard. I don't even know the model number, but it's good. It's okay. The one thing I do like about it is I don't like numpad keyboards. I haven't had a numpad keyboard since probably like 5 years ago. But my mouse, on the other hand, I fuck heavily with SteelSeries, and you should too. And I'll tell you why. My last mouse was a SteelSeries mouse, and I had it for 6 years. Think of how long that is. Lots of people replace their mouse like at least once a year because they start double clicking. And obviously, I'm not sponsored by SteelSeries, but that's like a wet dream. That would be great. Like the SteelSeries is the best, and you should buy a SteelSeries mouse today if you don't have one.
How much do they go for?
What
I
kind of
think
Steel Series mouse is it? Does it have like a
I have
specific
a
model
rival
number?
right now, rival 310 or 110, something of that. I had a SteelSeries
see.
Sensei. They don't make them anymore. I would love to have another one of those. That's such a good mouse. This is pretty much the same thing though. The feel is the same. I don't get why people like Razer so much. That's one thing I want to say.
Oh!
Razer mice are fucking stupid. I don't like them. They're small and weird. I know you can probably get other ones, but the ones that I've seen and touched, they're small.
Mm.
And
Weird.
I take it from Randy's reaction that he likes Razer. So I'll just leave it at that.
I'm kind of in a similar boat with Dumbfounded. I don't care about my keyboard. It's just a standard Acer one. My mouse though, I use a TechNet gaming mouse, and it's really cheap, like $15. I think that's cheap for like a mouse. It has the whole DPI setting adjustment, and it looks cool. I've had to replace it once, but I'll probably look into the Steel series if I need a new mouse, because this one, being the cheap-ish mouse that it is, it'll probably start malfunctioning soon, like the first one I had.
So yes, following that theme, I also don't care about what my keyboard is, but I am passionate about my mouse. I use a laptop, so I've got an integrated keyboard. Haven't ever looked into or bothered investigating getting an external keyboard, and probably never will. I feel like that's probably more geared towards like rhythm gamers or FPS gamers. For us, we don't. There's not so much of a need for a high-end keyboard, I would say. The mouse I used to have was a Corsair M60, which was okay, kinda. But then the mouse I currently use and have been using for almost 3 years now is the Logitech G502, which I went for after reading a lot of sort of recommendations around that mouse. I've got quite large hands, so having a large
You know
mouse
what
like
that
the
means.
Logitech G502, yeah, large hands mean large mouse. Yeah, nothing else. Come on, guys.
Big
And
gloves.
exactly, and so yeah, I really really like this mouse. I mean, like I said, I've had it for just over almost 3 years, and it's in as good a condition as it was when I first got it. Does everything I need it to, and just feels extremely comfy. Probably going to get this one again when it eventually breaks. I imagine it will one day.
Maybe not. Don't curse it yet.
There
Don't
are
sell your
there
mouse short.
yeah, like if if I learned anything from elementary school, like dude, some of the mice that were still being used at like schools are like 20 plus years. Like these mice are older than me. So, like go to a public library too. I guarantee you'll find a mouse there from like early 2000s.
God, think of the dead skin cells on that bad boy.
Oh, don't.
Oh my god. Lord. So
Oh God.
I am a very big Razer fanboy. Motherfuckers like chatting shit. Greatest fun. Like I have never had any issues with any like products, and if I have, they have replaced everything for free. And in one case, so okay, I initially had the Razer Death. So like when I first started playing old school, I was using like this really shitty wireless mouse that I took from my girlfriend's dorm room or some I don't know. It was hers, whatever. And as I'm sitting there playing with it, one of my friends, he was like, "Oh, dude, take this mouse that I have. It's a nice mouse. It'll be you'll get more use out of it than me." And it was a Razer Death Adder, and I used that for like 5 years. Did not have any issues with it. Um, for that like 5 years, and then eventually it just died, and I replaced it, and that replacement was very good. Same kind. Um, and then like a year and a half, maybe a year ago or so, I handed that one off to a friend, gave it to them to use, and I bought the Razer Mamba Firefly. Oh, I'm sorry, it's called the Razer Hyperflux. Let me
Jesus.
Black Mamba.
make sure I got that right. Yeah, I'm sorry. So okay, the official wording it is the Razer Mamba Hyperflux and Razer Firefly Hyperflux combo. It's
I'm noticing a pattern here of the type of product names you go for, Randy.
Randy just likes to feel super epic while he's gaming when he
If
thinks of his peripherals.
dude, if you don't have RGB like on your stuff, are you really a game? Are you really a
come
gamer
on.
if it
Oh
doesn't
my
have?
My shit is
But-
blacked out. Like I don't like the colorful
Oh,
stuff.
I have all my shit to turn off when like the computer is, after it like screen goes black after 10 minutes and like everything shuts down. But yeah, the Mamba Hyperflux and Firefly Hyperflux combo. It's a wireless mouse, and like mouse, and it's like a hard mouse pad. I really like it. The mouse actively charges while it's on this, so it like needs to obviously stay on the mouse pad, but I really like it. And then for the keyboard that I have, it is the Razer Black Widow Elite.
What color switches do you have?
Razer switches, which I think are
I think they're blue.
no, they're like
The Black Widow I had was blue.
on the product page right. It has green, so they're green switches.
Okay.
And I really like it. Thing that I like most about the keyboard. So I like the keyboard more than you guys do. They have like dedicated media keys and like a volume wheel on it.
I fuck with those.
Yeah, like
Those are useful.
that's real helpful. It was something that I was really like looking for in a keyboard, and they eventually came out with it, and I hopped on it. Before that, I had a Corsair K70, which pretty good keyboard too. But yeah, everything I have is Razer, and the shit that you guys may see or may hear, I really like almost believe that people are like propaganda against Razer. I've never had any bad customer support experiences with them, so like on the Razer Reddit, there'll be people like talking about, oh my god, the customer support is so goddamn bad, and I'm like, motherfucker, like, okay, my headset that I have, by the way, I have the Razer Manowar wireless, and so I had it, and like the like part that goes over your head, like the um yeah, that you just like wear on the top of your head, like that like cracked, and in doing so, it kind of like splintered off, and I was unable to wear it. And because of that, it was putting so much more pressure on these other pressure points on the headset, so I couldn't comfortably wear it anymore. And I go into the text chat with these people. Within 5 minutes, they're like, hey, we'll give you we will replace it for free. Send it to us, and we will send you a brand new one. And it's like, boom, gets replaced for free. Any issues I've ever had,
Wow.
perfect. Like, and like with whether it's the mice or anything, like never had any issues ever. And then also, so like this goes into the keyboard part, but I have the Razer Tartarus V2, which is a like a small little mouse pad that it's it's a like that's what I use for mouse keys, and I really enjoy it. It's
Mouse keys.
yes, it is a um it's pretty much like a little keypad that has like 20 keys on it, and I really like it. That like more so than anything, let me say that bitch I recommend.
Let me take a look at this link he posted.
Yeah, I posted the link.
Oh yeah, you got the whole air traffic control vibe to your setup. I can tell. You got a DX Racer too, Randy.
No, I don't. I have a just like a plain black leather chair.
Those are probably more comfortable, to be honest.
There's this dude, Devotion. Shout out if he watches the podcast. He has a DX Racer, lives nearby. I went and checked it out, and I was like, not my kind of chair.
It's good you do your research.
Yeah.
I'll give you guys a brief, history of myself. For those of you that do not know, my RSN used to be iSlay Broad. Back in my iSlay Broads era of gaming, I was strictly laptop and wireless mouse only.
What kind of mouse?
Fuck if I know. It was just some like $12 like wireless shitter. I used to lay in my bed for a good 10 to 14 hours a day gaming with my high school yearbook and as my mouse. So I'm definitely not one to know like top tier devices to recommend, but recently I upgraded to the PC, 2 monitors, actual gaming setup. I have a Razer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say some good things. Hold on.
Holy shit, Randy.
Razer Black Widow 2014, and this bitch sounds like a nice typewriter. So I'm not that big of a fan
ASMR.
of the typewriter personally, but it had to take a while for me to get used to because the buttons are so like raised in comparison to typing on the keyboard that I'm so used to. So it took a little bit of time, and also like the escape buttons like a good 3 finger lengths away from the F1, which took me like a solid couple months to get used to. But I mean, once you're used to it, it's just like any other mechanical keyboard. I think I haven't had any problems with it. It was actually handed down by my buddy Dennis, who runs Essence to me for free, by the way. But yeah, he's a good guy. Hasn't broken since then. The mouse I use Logitech G403. It's the less alien looking one than the one it has. Just a straight up regular mouse. I used to have a Razer Death Adder that broke and shit the bed on me, Randy. So I don't use that anymore. So yeah, I like the Logitech G403 if you guys are looking for just like a simple mouse. Fits my palm nicely.
All right.
I want to share one small thing about my experience with the Razer keyboard, and this is about the switches more than the keyboard itself. But when I did decide to put it in the bin, I just wanted to try something else, like a different brand of keyboard. But the the one thing I always remember with my Razer keyboard is that like I was waking up like really early at like 5 or sometimes a bit earlier every day when I had that keyboard, and it sounds like a fucking machine gun. Like I was every morning, like at 5 a.m. It sounds like I'm firing off AK rounds in my bedroom, and I realized this quickly. I was like, I need to get rid of this. I'm literally waking up my roommates by typing in the morning. It was so loud. Like I had to cautiously press down each key so that I wouldn't make so much noise. And that, like I said, that's more about the switches than the keyboard. But
Such a soothing
there's
sound,
something to be
though.
said. It does. It sounds so good, honestly. And now that I live alone, I might, when I get a new one, I might go for blue switches again. It is really satisfying. Although my boys on TeamSpeak will not be happy. That that is all there needs to be said.
I have to settle for it.
Yeah, or I'll just switch to push to talk, and I probably already should because I'm a bit of a terrorist with the keyboard. It's really loud, even with red switches.
All right, so we're getting towards the end of the podcast here, and what has everyone been up to during the podcast? What you been doing?
Same as what I was doing last podcast. I'm still cooking wines, still trying to go for 200 ml cooking at 126.9 mil at the moment. I said last time that I was concerned about getting top 1k rank because they're filling up quickly, but pretty much guaranteed to get that now. So just gonna finish it as quickly as I can so I can move on to something else.
I miss cooking.
Very chill.
Yeah.
I've done about 100 laps on the perf course on the main, fishing on one account, hunting account, another account, and recruiting for Hexis. If you apply on the forums, if you fall into the requirements, please do so.
I've done about 101 laps of Prif. And
Beast.
Whoa.
I was lagging.
yeah. Okay. And just been doing that, working on trying to get I mean realistically like 200 mil agility. I'm gonna stop at like 190 whatever finishes fishing off, but still hitting at agility, gonna be doing that, and hopping between that and fishing on mobile for still several months. 157 mil agility, 94 mil fishing.
I am at Artie running laps, Artie gang, and making some money on some alts. But mostly I'm focused on my Iron Man right now, and I've been doing some Slayer tasks during the podcast and some hard clues. It's been a blast.
I've been doing some miscellaneous computer stuff. Right now, I'm trying to log in to the virtual machine I need to for my class project, but I think I forgot the password. So I will be tending to that after the podcast.
Why are you using a virtual machine?
It's part of the course I'm in.
Ah, okay. All right. So before we head out, feel free to shout out your social media.
Oh, I'm first. Fantastic. I will have the Hexis podcast community know that I stream every day except Sunday and Mondays starting at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time, where we talk about
Early grind.
whatever. Oh yeah. I learned from Runescape. Oh yeah, it's at a
what's what's the ad?
Yeah.
Find it yourself.
Oh wow, people want to go. Okay. It is at LordBlackout on Twitch. And my Twitter is the same handle, but I don't really use Twitter. Feel free to follow me though.
You can find me at Twitch/Dumbfounded or on Twitter, DumbfoundedRS. And also, last but not least, you can follow at Solus_CC on Twitter. And I know it's a bit bold shouting it out on here, but you
Big
know,
respect.
I gotta do it.
I'm not even going to edit that out. Big respect. God bless.
At Hexis on Twitter.
And your Twitch?
We don't have to add CC at the end because we're the OGs.
The guy who has the Solus handle is some 50-year-old man who blocked all of us.
Yeah. Dude, like, the amount of people that he has blocked in the RuneScape community has got to be enormous. Like, I know that he has me blocked. He has the Hexis account blocked. He was just not like, he was just annoyed by people like tweeting back and forth with, you know, the accounts.
There's the voice
That's
spam
actually
channel.
hilarious.
Kyle
Fuck
Madison.
you, Kyle Madison. I was just trying to open a friendly discussion and inquire into his Twitter handle, and he blocked me. Fucking dick. I'm not being aggressive. Like,
You must have had so many people messaging
Yeah.
at this point, though.
Miniature Finbar probably also messaged him too. Like, he's probably been messaged by Solus leadership for years. And look at his picture. He's just vibing. I don't know. I feel bad.
Yeah. So for the people at home listening, he has a frog listening headset as the picture.
Maybe he's listening to this podcast.
Yeah, maybe.
Highly unlikely considering we're all blocked, but you know.
Yo, I don't think I'm blocked. I'll get in for y'all.
Right.
Yeah, you know, he might not have you. Yeah. Send him it. Tell him he got a shout out on this podcast. He can at least
sure
click.
He'll appreciate that.
Yeah, he can at least click it and I'll get a view. So, all right, go ahead, Art.
At Arptastic on Twitter. And since we're doing clan accounts, at Totus on Twitter if you're interested in completion.
Haha.
Yeah, all right.
You're joining after 200 mil. Or...
I'll join before on my Iron Man.
All right, good.
Randalicious RS on Twitter, Hexis on Twitter, Randalicious on Twitch, and yeah, that's pretty much covers the good stuff there. So for those of you who are going to be wondering about when the next Hexis podcast is going to be, I don't know. I don't have a real set date for you guys. I'm going to be going out of town, going to a Vikings game. They better win. And with that, you know, just gonna kind of, you know, try to see if Bodie wants to do, if he'd like to be interested in being on Hex's podcast number 73. And if he wants to be on, I'll let him pick any date and time to be on. Be a real privilege to have him on. You know, he has such a bunch of different play styles that he's had. You know, he's maxing account, plays Iron Man, Deadman, done it all. So he'd be able to have quite a bit to contribute to the podcast, I feel. And so I don't know, follow on Twitter and follow us on Twitter, and you'll kind of see announcements for what's going on with it and when all of that's going on. We try to make this a little bit shorter of a podcast here. That'll be a little bit over 2 hours, about like 2:10 ish. You know, so we'll try out, and this was with 5 people and we deleted topics. So, you know, we've all been having, you know, real good discussions on these topics. So we appreciate you guys submitting them. You know, feel free to submit some more for number 73, and, you know, leave a comment on the video. You know, what kind of podcast length would you prefer? You know, anywhere from like an hour to 3 hours. You know, kind of tell us what you think the best target area would be with that. And also, like, how many people would you like to see on a future podcast? You know, 4 or 5, 6, or what is it? So give us a little bit of feedback. Happy birthday to the Hexis podcast, 5 years old. Use that Twitch Prime sub. God bless. And see you guys for 73. Spam Bodie's chat telling him to be on it.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.